Welcome back to another episode of Great Grace and Growth, where we explore the ins and outs of real estate investing, business growth, and personal development. I am your host, Laura Nabaquin, and in our last episode, we covered the basics of how to wholesale real estate. Today, we're taking a closer look at the pros and cons of wholesaling to determine if it's the right investment strategy for you. So, we'll break down the potential risks, the rewards, everything in between. So, let's dive in. All right, guys. So, in the last episode, just to recap, real estate investing through wholesaling involves finding the discounted property, then assigning that contract to purchase to an investor or someone who's going to purchase it for a fee, which is your assignment fee. And that's ultimately how you make money personally within wholesaling real estate. And the strategy allows you to invest in wholesale. This strategy allows you to invest in real estate with minimal to no capital. Really, I like to say no capital because it doesn't take anything from you unless you are investing in some of those other tools like skip tracing or buying leads or whatnot. But if you are not, it really takes no capital, no investment from you thereafter uh, as well, because you're never purchasing the property outright. All right. So that's the recap. Now let's dive into some of the benefits of wholesaling overall. Benefits number one is one of the primary advantages of wholesaling is the low barrier to entry, meaning it doesn't cost you anything. You don't need a large sum of capital or high credit score to get started. You don't need any funds, capital, any money to get started. And I stress that all the time because everyone thinks getting started in real estate investing takes a boatload of money, and it really doesn't. Even when you actually are purchasing a property, those do take money, but it doesn't take your money. And there's so many strategies how to build a portfolio without your own money and access to that capital. But that's a whole other episode. So before I digress, in wholesaling, it doesn't take any money, which is benefit number one. Benefit number two, wholesaling can be a fast way to earn money. So deals can close in a matter of days to even, sometimes weeks. So once you find a deal and you have it under contract, you find your investor, it's not like traditional purchasing your personal home, which can take 30 days, 45 in some markets, 60 days for closing by the time you do the inspections and the appraisals and the financing all to come back. Typically, when you're wholesaling, the purchaser is an investor and they have the capital lined up. They're buying cash or they have it lined up already. They know exactly where the capital is coming from. So, no, it doesn't take 30, 60, 90 days to close on a property. You can really close on a property in less than a week, which is pretty average in wholesaling. So that's another benefit is that you get paid quickly. Once you find your property, you have it under contract, you have your investor, you're sending everything into the title company and you're getting paid rather quickly. Also, this strategy allows you to build a network and gain valuable experience in the real estate market. And that's exactly what we did is we spent a number of years in hitting the ground, looking for these properties, training our eye and getting used to what to look for exactly, how to find motivated sellers, how to find off market properties, building a network. So by joining communities, networking with other individuals, whether they were investors in loan officers and contractors, and just building our whole real estate network overall really helped us. So after doing that for a number of years, and really you don't even have to do it for a number of years. And before, I know I'm going to digress again a little here, but I always say looking back on this entire journey, if one piece of advice, there's actually several pieces, but one piece of advice that I would give myself is that it's not that hard and that I should have got started moving sooner towards actually building a portfolio with properties in it. But again, that perceived idea that it's a little harder, you need more money or whatever it may be, was kind of lingering in mind. So it took us a number of years to actually start building a portfolio. But again, once we got started with that, it's easy. You just got to put in the legwork. And once you have your network, it makes it that much easier as well. So again, build your network now because it's not only going to make wholesaling easier. If you ever want to move over to other strategies, having that network is going to be invaluable as well in the future. Also, wholesaling is so flexible, allowing you to work anywhere in your own space, and then also making an attractive option for you to enter the real estate markets, because again, you're kind of like tipping your toes into real estate investing by starting with wholesaling. And again, as I mentioned, I can't stress it enough. It gives you the know about what to look for, people to meet, and so forth. So when you do move linear to those other strategy methods, you are prepared and ready to go. I feel a lot more comfortable and confident within the industry. All right. Now let's talk about some of those challenges and risks, because these are the ones that everyone worries about. So it's like, how hard is it? Where's the money going to come from? What is the risk if I fail, or can I get in trouble or whatnot? Let's look at these. So one, while wholesaling can be profitable, it's not without any challenges. I mean, one of those challenges can be finding motivated sellers. I would say that was probably one of the biggest challenges I'll speak for myself. I won't even include my husband in this, but I found the biggest challenge initially was finding motivated sellers, because we would go walking for dollars and collect information, go to public records, pull the information, call them. Sometimes we would leave postcards and stuff, but we would call them, and sometimes you'd get an unpleasant response. How did you find my information? I'm not selling my house, or whatever it may be. So sometimes those responses can be discouraging overall. And I felt like that was affecting me a bit in the beginning, and finding it to be discouraging and just harder to set your mind straight to continue moving forward. But however, once we figured out a system on who to look for, so people that are getting a divorce, people that inherited properties, people that are close to foreclosure, uh, you looking for these certain categories of people going through these particular life events, it made those conversations a lot easier. So not only are you looking for qualified candidates who are most likely and more open and willing to sell you their property at below market value, they're also you're not really getting those negative responses from them, because they're almost helping them. They're enlightened and they're open and well receptive to your phone call and the conversation with them. Number two, a challenge could be competition sometimes in the market, because with so many people out doing wholesaling sometimes and trying to look for the deals, this can make it difficult to find and secure some of those contracts. Again, similar to finding those motivated sellers, but also getting those contracts or getting those properties under contract could be a challenge sometimes, but really it's really a numbers game, as in any sales. Anyone that's coming from a sales background, that you need to make X amount of calls to get X amount interested and to close on X amount, or um, do X amount of RFPs to only be competitive on a slimmer number. So do 100 RFPs to be competitive on 20 and be a finalist on 5 and sell or 1. I mean, those are really bad numbers and ratios. So maybe the closing rate isn't that slim, but still, you get the point. Meaning you had to do a whole bunch to slim that down to a smaller tier and then close on that smaller tier. But ultimately, when you're closing on a smaller tier, so even if you're calling 100 people, you have 20 people interested and you close on 5 of them, that's still $50,000 in a month. Okay. So it's still rewarding and beneficial overall. Another challenge potentially is building a reliable buyers list. I know some people kind of struggle with this, but ultimately within our community, I talk about this pretty frequently. The people that struggle with this more often than not are the people that are not putting themselves out there to have the conversations, building relationships. So I do say network, and maybe I need to change the way I phrase that, because I often say you need to build a network. And yes, it's about building a network, but it's not as simple enough as just join a network and you joined and that's enough. No, you have to be an active participant in getting to know and have conversations with individuals. So that way you learn what is their experience? What are they looking for? What markets are they interested in? You're learning other investors as well. You're building that network. So you're being a member, active participant within various different networks and communities, but also building your own list. So whether that's a spreadsheet, email list, whatnot, it makes it that much easier. And then it's not really a matter of how hard it is. It's really just, how long it takes you to add to that list overall. But going out there, doing the work, and you'll put together that buyer's list. And the last thing that I would say or put it in the category of potential complication, or not complications, challenges or risk, would be legal considerations to be aware of, because of course it's important to make sure that all your contracts are compliant with local laws and regulations. You don't need a license to do wholesaling except for a few states, and I'm not familiar with them entirely. I don't remember them all off the top of my head. There's like 3 states maybe they actually do need to be licensed to wholesale. They're in the Midwest somewhere. But I can actually pull that together for you and share it another time in like an Instagram post or another YouTube video or whatnot. But do your homework, make sure that you don't need license to do wholesaling in most places. And also, even as regards to contracts, we give you actual contract templates that have been provided to us from our actual attorneys. But either way, we always recommend that you spend like the $50 or so one time at least to have an attorney review it if you're making any modifications to it that customizes it to you and your needs and what you're looking for and what you're all about. Make sure you have an attorney review it one time for you. It's an investment well worth it. $50 to $70 is usually what the average cost is, to have them review it for you and just having that peace of mind. Now, exciting stuff, whether wholesaling is right for you. So like anything else, wholesaling requires a specific skill set, and that includes negotiation and sales and networking. So consider whether these things align with your strengths and interests as well. It's not hard. It's just about going in and doing the legwork. I know some people absolutely do not want to be mingling and talking. And it's not just about going out and mingling, but building genuine relationships within your network. Some people just don't want to do that at all. And I'm not saying that real estate investing isn't for you. It might just be a little more challenging, because I know several investors who aren't necessarily that active in networks or whatever it may be, or just the most personable. Not to say that they aren't active in networks, but not the most personable people, and they are highly successful. So it's just about navigating, knowing and understanding what it takes, and then navigating your skill sets and your interests and personality to how you're going to apply that to your own business, because that's ultimately what you're creating, is your own little business. Also, is the financial goals and risk tolerance are also important factors to take into consideration. So, while wholesaling can offer quick returns, but it's also not guaranteed. So sometimes there's a period of time that you're putting in the legwork to find the property, find the motivated sellers, find the properties, find the motivated sellers, try to negotiate and get that property under contract. So you're putting in all this time. And yes, that might be the most time consuming, because that can take a couple of weeks, even a month, to get a property under contract, especially in the beginning. But then the reward is $10,000 on that particular one. So if you're closing 2, 3, 4 a month, that could be still highly rewarding for you. But if you are doing the work for 4 months and then including an assignment fee of $2,000 or whatever it may be, maybe you're not really seeing the value there. So it's really on you, in the work that you're putting in, the consistency that you're putting in, and the discipline that you are applying as well. And so it's important to assess your available time and the resources that you want to dedicate to it. And wholesaling can be time intensive, yes, especially in the beginning. But once you get it going, like anything else, you get more familiar, you get more experienced, you get more comfortable and confident. It's really the first one. And we tell the story in episode 15 on the podcast when we were getting started. But it was really the getting that first deal. And after that, it just got easier. It really did. It really did get easier. Does that mean we don't have hiccups every now and then, or any issues that we run into? Absolutely not. We still run into issues all the time. But we're just much more prepared for them now, and how to handle them, how to navigate them, and so forth. Overall, so think about, when you're getting started with wholesaling, again, as in anything else that you set out and strive to do, set yourself up for success by implementing strategies. So to succeed at wholesaling, it's essential to build strong networks in real estate professional groups, including agents and contractors and other investors. Also, continuously educate yourself. It's not about learning everything once, taking a webinar, reading one book and being like, I'm done, I know it all, I will be successful forever on end in real estate or anything else for a matter of fact. But continuously being open-minded, reading, attending webinars, conferences, being parts of networks that give you updates in the market and information, but just being open-minded and continuously learning and educating yourself. Number 3, develop a marketing plan to attract more motivated sellers and maintain strong online presence to reach the potential. So whether you have a website or not, you don't need a website. We don't actually still to this day have a website for actual wholesaling. But once you get a system under place and certain tools that you invest in for yourself later on, like skip tracing and other things, like I told you before, we had to go to public records to pull this contact information, which could be days as well. So we'd spend days going out and finding the properties, noting down the addresses and whatnot, and allocate other days of the week to go out and pull the information from public records. Whereas now there's skip tracing, there's online databases where you can pull information that makes it so much easier. Then even certain tools that you can just automatically, once you have that information, you import it. So it mails them postcards or mailers or sends them the emails and whatnot. So it'll do it for you. So there are so many tools that you can invest in now as well that makes it that much easier. And then just remember, patience and persistence are key. Being consistent. So not every lead will turn into a deal, but staying consistent in your efforts will increase your chances of success. And every time you close one, you'll pat yourself on the back and be like, I knew it was worth it. Even though you had so many or several ups and downs or frustrations along the way, as in anything else. All right, guys. So if you're considering wholesaling, but you're still kind of on the fence, it may be for you, it may not. Maybe you're not so interested in wholesaling, but you still want to get involved in real estate investing. And there are several other strategy options as well. So options like building a portfolio for rental properties, fix and flips. There's several other options to explore. Those are a few others that we have done ourselves, but there are several others that we have not even gotten involved in ourselves. And then even within that, so saying you want to build a rental portfolio, there's several methods and strategies on how you can build that portfolio. Some of them that I'll speak about in other episodes are the BRRRR method, living within them, so housing hacks and whatnots, but we can dive into each of those because those are whole other conversations. But I can share with you other strategies that we have implemented and done ourselves over the last 9 years to grow and establish our real estate portfolio. Also, remember, each strategy has its own set of advantages and challenges. So it's important to research and evaluate which aligns with your financial goals and your lifestyle and how active or passive you want to be in your investments within real estate as well. And remember, the best investment strategy is the one that works for you. There really is no best strategy. It's what works for you. Every strategy works for several people, thousands of investors, but which strategies work for you based on your skill set and your resources and your goals and objectives. All right, guys. So that's a wrap for our discussion on whether wholesaling real estate is worth it. It's a flexible and potentially lucrative strategy, but it does require significant investment of your time and effort. And I promise you, once you get it going, you become more consistent. Once you're consistent and get it going, it does become much more habitual and easier to do. So it requires less and less of your time. And then also, as you have money and you're making money, you can invest some of that profits into other strategies, or invest some of those profits into some of the tools that free you up on your time and do a lot of these other tasks for you, and then brings in those motivated sellers for you. So as with any investment, it's important to weigh the risks and the rewards and consider how wholesaling fits into your broader financial goals. So join us next time in the next episode, where we'll explore how you can start wholesaling real estate with little to actually no money, really. All right, guys, that's it. Join us next time.